Hello class, this is John Duncan again, just here for Socrates in Society, and I just read your first assignments, and I thought everybody did a very fine job on these. You asked good questions, your reflective journals showed that you were beginning to get into questioning some of the things about life and the meaning of life and virtue and so forth. And that's what that first book was actually intended to do, is to kind of get your mind working in a way that would make it more conducive to dealing with some of these ideas. So I think we succeeded in that. Everybody seemed to do very well, and I appreciate all the hard work that you put into your assignments. It shows in what I read. I think everybody took the assignments very seriously, and I hope that you learned some things that were valuable to you and that you were able to use. So thank you very much for the effort, and I appreciate that. What I'd like to do in this short video is talk about the next unit, talk about some of the things that are going on in that unit. You'll be reading a couple of actual works by Plato in which Socrates expresses some ideas that I think are very important in life. I'll pretty much leave reading the Protagoras up to you. I'll let you do that, and I want to talk today about the problem of the Gyges ring and the allegory of the cave. So Socrates had these two arguments. They're both found in Plato's Republic, which is considered to be the major work of Plato. And in there, early on, they're trying to figure out, Socrates is with a group of people, they're talking about what is justice, and how do we know justice, and why should we actually, if we even know what justice is, why should we act on the basis of that if it's not in our own self-interest? And that question holds today, is that if doing right is not good for you in this particular case, if doing the right thing is not in your personal self-interest, is it better to do the right thing, or is it better to act upon the basis of your self-interest? So the story, the ancient Greek myth of Gyges, is that Gyges found a ring, and the ring, when you turn it around, this particular ring would allow you to be invisible. When you're invisible, then you could actually go out and do all kinds of things and not be held responsible for those things, and you could definitely stack the deck in order to have advantages in your way, and Gyges does this and becomes very successful with it. And the question is whether, if you had one of these rings, what would you do? Would you do bad things in order to take advantage of it, or would you do the right thing? And Plato believed that it's human nature generally to do the bad things, but we have to overcome that through reason. Now, in the modern world, we see this as an issue of transparency. Does the government, for example, let you know what really is going on? Are you able to make good decisions? If you're not given all the information, your decision can't be very reliable, because you don't know all the facts. So we always, in our ethical standards nowadays, one of the things that we look for is transparency, to make sure that if everybody knew what was going on, would they agree that it's the right thing? If the answer is wrong, then it's probably not the right thing. And of course, that's whether you want to live that way. That's your choice. That's all of our choices, is whether or not we want to actually live ethically, or whether we want to try to, balance it out and maybe not be so ethical. And I think that's a struggle in human life. It's a struggle I have, and every single one of us has throughout our lives. Is when it comes down to it, these ethical decisions are not easy all the time. And it's a habit of making the right decision, even if it hurts you doing the right thing. Sometimes it's very painful. Sometimes it costs a lot to do the right thing. Now, as far as knowledge goes, Plato said that what you see and what you think is oftentimes not what reality is. And of course, Plato believed that reality was an ideal form, that reality was something to which it was a universal that sits over here and never changes, and then all of the temporal world attempts to conform to that and reflects that in some way. That's pretty deeply philosophical, and we don't know at this point in time. Humanity has not solved the riddle of what reality is. Philosophy hasn't solved this. It's still up for grabs. But I'm going to work on it this afternoon. I should have something finished, and we'll know what reality is by this evening. Just joking. But anyway, seriously though, You know, Plato talked about when you try to explain things to people, sometimes they're not ready for that explanation. And in book 4, I think, or 5, it's 5, I believe, of the Republic, Plato talks about the allegory of the cave. And he says that let's imagine a group of people that are living in a cave, and they have never ever seen an object. They've only seen a wall, and they see shadows of things moving behind them, but they never actually see the real thing. And they've grown up this way, and they think the shadows are real. And then one of them is forcibly taken out of the cave and brought up into the sunlight. And of course, initially that person is completely blinded and can't see anything, is disoriented and doesn't understand, and in a terrible state of confusion. But eventually they learn, they start seeing shadows, and then they learn, well, the shadow actually is connected to an object that then is illuminated by the sun. And they understand a little bit more about the world. And you let them live in this world for a little while, then you take them and put them back in the cave. And then they start telling everybody, well, what you think is reality is not real. Let me tell you what it is. And of course, the bottom line is that they are ostracized by their community for trying to tell people what is real. And I think Plato is talking in some ways about knowledge, but also I think this happened to Socrates, that Socrates was teaching people to question what the status quo was, to question what was being taught. And in so doing, he was arrested and tried for treason, essentially, and put to death. Or he actually was sentenced to death, and he had to kill himself by drinking hemlock. Socrates had many chances to escape. In fact, there was a ship waiting for him that Plato and some other young men had purchased passage on. They had bribed the guards. All the doors were unlocked. And Socrates was able to get up and walk out of prison and go to another city-state and live his life. And he said, no, I've lived here, I've lived by these rules, and because I've lived by these rules, I'm going to die by these rules. And that's one of the examples of when doing the right thing is not in your own self-interest. He had to actually give his life for what he thought was the right thing at the time. But Plato talks a little bit about this in these pieces, and I think that they're as valuable for us now as they ever were, even 427 BC when they were written. I think they're still as valuable today. We haven't gotten beyond the question of transparency in order to make sure that we act according to ethical principles. We haven't gotten beyond the fact that it's hard to wake people up from their slumbers and teach them new things sometimes. So those are things that go on every day, and those are lessons that you can take home tonight, and that you can look at the way you act, and you can look at the way people in your family act, and you can look at the way people at work act, and you can look at the community, and you can look at the government. You can look at businesses and see that there's a lot of self-interest out there. And the biggest struggle that we have in doing the right thing is that sometimes it's not consistent with what's best for us as an individual. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of talk about the Gyges ring problem and give you a little introduction to that. And I hope you enjoy these readings. I hope you have had a good time so far in the class, and I'll try to do some more videos as we go along. Again, I liked your first assignments. Everybody did a fine job. I didn't have any bad ones. Everything was good. Everybody was really into the assignment, and I appreciate that. So hopefully you're having a good time with the class, and I hope that continues. If you have any questions, you can always email me. You can post a discussion question, or you can give me a call at my office or at home on my cell phone. So you've got those numbers, and I hope that you have a great day, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Till next time.